Welcome, patrons. Oh boy, it's been a minute. I know I keep saying this in video openings, but things just kind of keep happening, you know? But I honestly just couldn't let Dragon Age Day pass by and just not do anything. So I've wanted to talk about a theory or like a theme, I guess, that's just close to my heart in Dragon Age. I know I've mentioned this actually a few times embedded in other videos, but I thought that perhaps it needed like a bigger discussion on it rather than I had done previously. So enough of my ramblings, let's talk about a story repeated time and time again in Thedas, the tale of the betrayed woman. The basics. The basics of this theory, which, I don't know, it's sort of a theory, I guess. Like, I kind of loop it together in the end, but it's just kind of like a theme, I suppose. I'm not really sure what to call this, but in short, there are a bunch of in-lore tales of powerful women being in a sort of love triangle, sort of, and then being betrayed by a power-hungry man. As most of the tales go, the woman gains power and is loved by many. She takes a lover that is supportive of her, which many times this lover is an elf and can be really either gender, but at the height of the woman's power, a less powerful man who is usually in some way romantically linked to the woman with varying degrees of actual love versus a political marriage, grows jealous of what she has earned and tries and usually succeeds in killing the woman or her lover, resulting in the downfall of all three. The tales. Andraste. Now, I have a whole video on her, so I'll just sum her up really quickly, but Andraste was married to an Alamari warlord named Mafroth. She began to see visions of the one true god, the Maker, who claimed her as his bride. Together, Andraste and Mafroth sought to free their people and the others from the Deventer Imperium so that they can sing the praises of the Maker and the god would finally come back to his people. As the story goes, Mafroth grows jealous of Andraste's influence over their people, so he betrays her to the Deventer Imperium, which they put her to death by pyre. Now, here there is some sort of debate on who the lover is. Now, arguably, the Maker could fit in the role, as Mafroth's halting Andraste's progress in spreading the Chant of Light stopped his return, if that's even true, but in the tale, it is, I guess. Now, however, there is another possible lover and a theory that is considered sacrilegious by the Chantry. The lore on Shartan is complicated in that there's like a ton of stories. He could be one person. Shartan could be a title and there were multiple. Both could even be true, but for the most part it is believed that A. Shartan escaped from slavery in the Deventer Imperium and began a slave uprising at the same time Andraste was doing her stuff. He would then join in with Andraste and, per some legends, he also became her lover. Now his death is debated, but most believe he died trying to rescue Andraste from the Imperium. Flemeth. Flemeth's life started about 600 years before any player character meets her. As Morrigan tells us, which she herself is actually unsure of the truth, but Flemeth was married to a poor bard named Osin. A lord named Conabar saw Flemeth and was wowed by her beauty, so he offered Osin riches beyond compare to have her. Now, both Flemeth and Osin actually liked this idea, so agreed. However, Conabar did not have the coin promised and instead killed him. Flemeth heard the truth from spirits and refused to marry him, and very long story short, she kills him. Conabar's allies then hunted down and tried to kill her, but she found the piece of Mythal, which gave her the strength to carry out her revenge. Tyrda. Oh god, I forgot how to pronounce this. I did a video on her where I think I said Trida the entire time, and like people really were upset, and I think it's like Tyrda, so I'm going to say Tyrda, but I forgot how to pronounce this, to be honest, and I'm not going to look it up. My bad. Anyway, Tyrda Brightaxe was a mage and chieftain of the Alamari tribe. She would eventually break off her clan from the Alamari and create the Avar faction. Now, Tyrda has a leaf-eared lover, meaning an elven lover, who was connected to the Lady of the Skies, with some sort of debates as to if she was actually the lady or just a messenger of some sort. Now, the reason that she had split from the Alamari is that she had caught the eye of another chieftain from her rival tribe named Thelm Goldhanded. Now, as a side note, and that may or may not be related, Thelm began having dreams of entering the Golden City to capture its treasure, thanks to demons that spoke to him while he slept. He would merge with other tribes when they were weak and promise spoils to help them in his goal. And after a particularly bad winter, he approached Tyrda and asked for her hand in marriage. While she was tempted to help her people through the merge, the lover saw through his lies and convinced her to deny him. And when she did, Thelm attacked her. Well, Tyrda ultimately won the battle. Her tribe took shelter away from the other Alamari and broke off entirely to create the Avar. Very long story short, she lived many more years with her leaf-eared lover and had a baby with a dwarven man to continue her bloodline. This ending I know doesn't kind of quite fit with the loop here, but they all kind of don't fit in their own little ways. Whatever. Seline. Now, Seline isn't often included in discussions of this dynamic, but I actually think she should. Most of this is just the basic plot of the novel Masked Empire, but this is roughly how her story goes. Seline works her ass off and becomes the Empress of Orlais, taking her servant Briala as her lover and spy master. That's a simplification of what happened, but we're going to go with it. Together, they were able to beat Grand Duke Gaspard for the title of the throne. Now, while Gaspard has no love for Seline and is actually related to her by blood, he does propose to her in the novel to help settle the dispute of who should be the ruler of Orlais. Seline obviously refuses for multiple reasons, mostly because she doesn't want him anywhere near the throne, but after that he goes all out trying to take her down and actually gets pretty close, even going after Briala. And the ending of this saga is actually up to the player in Inquisition. So, why do I think that this should be included in the discussion of this cycle? Well, let me go over the last major historical figure, Mythal. Mythal is almost always brought up in this discussion, even though by solid facts alone, she doesn't really fit as snugly as the others, and some of the others are even kind of debatable. But we know that Mythal was one of the best of the Evanuris and was considered kind and wise. She was said to be married to Elgranon. We know that she was betrayed and killed. We know that she at least had some sort of caring relationship to Solus, although what exactly it was, we don't know. But while you can easily see where her story could line up, right now it just doesn't. Other than the fact that the echoes of Mythal are in most of these previous stories. Andraste was born the same year the First Blight ended, with some thinking she was actually an old god baby, which, if you don't know what that is, you should play Origins, but long story short, she has the soul of an old god in her. Now, at the end of Inquisition, when you fight Corypheus in the ruins of the final resting place of Andraste, you find murals dedicated to Mythal. Some even theorize that Andraste's strange abilities was actually a piece of Mythal that had found its way to her. And Shartan also is said in lore to actually be a myth based on an ancient elven story of Fen'Harel. And while I don't personally subscribe to the theory, there are those that believe that Solus was actually the maker spirit that Andraste worshipped. Now, Flemeth has the most obvious connections, as she is confirmed to carry and be fostering a piece of the ancient goddess Mythal. Tyrdo was lovers to someone connected to Lady of Skies, who I'm going to skip over a lot of the proof here for the sake of time, but in short is also connected to Mythal. And what of Seline? Well, Mythal doesn't technically have a strong connection to her story, but it does connect to Solus. If you haven't read the novel, and spoilers here, a major character named Felisan is, unknown to anyone else in the novel, an ancient elf that works for Solus. He was tasked to get the passcode of the Alluvians from Briala, but failed because he didn't want to betray her. He goes on to say this about Briala. Now, in the context of this quote, it should be noted that he is talking to Solus. He smiled. You know, I suspect you'll hate this, but she reminds me of... He never heard the blow that killed him. While he was never able to finish the sentence, throughout the novel, Felisan makes comments to Briala that she reminds him of Fen'Harel. While this was thanks to him coaching her, I think maybe for us, the readers and lore nerds, maybe her role in this dynamic might also have to have played a role. So then, and here is finally the theory part, what if this dynamic, when meshed together and kind of boiled down, is actually what happened to Mythal? What if, together, this is the story of Mythal, replaying and echoing across time? What if these stories, and perhaps many more like them, sing out to what is left of Mythal and currently drive her vengeance? Stories of women like her, who want to do more for their people and their loved ones, but are brought down by the greed of men who claim to love and respect them. But more importantly, if this is true, then what justice is Flemeth working towards? What justice must be delivered to those forgotten? And how is this going to affect Thedas as we know it? And that, dear patrons, is all that I know about the cycle of betrayed women in Thedas. It's a clunky title, but I wasn't sure what else to call it. Now, I also honestly want to thank all of you, particularly the Honored Elven, over on my Patreon for sticking around so long. Things have been rough with various health issues and more, and just all the kindness and support I've received have honestly gone a long way during a very bad time. But I want this video to actually be a kind of a start of a new chapter of the Gilderthallen channel. In what ways I haven't yet decided, but next time you see a big video from me, I want things to kind of look a bit different. And I think I'm going to do a lot of work to prepare for what seems to kind of be the final year or so before Dragon Age Dreadwolf. But yeah, which... Watch me eat those words, but you know. Anyway, if you have any questions or proof that I'm wrong, feel free to comment below. Now, I have basically stopped using Twitter and Reddit recently, but I am still technically there if you want to send a message that I will not get to for a while. So good luck with that. But yeah, Doresh Sherol.